Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sophia from Jessley Handmade and So Jessley Sewing School, and today I'm filming a little tutorial all about how to make a panelled drawstring bag with a little applique shape on it. It's for total beginners or children. If you've got children who are good on the sewing machine, this is a great little tutorial for them all to do in the holidays or when they have time. And they're just really fun and useful and make great gifts. So let's go on with sewing. So for this project you will need 2 different pattern pieces of cotton, a pair of scissors, an applique shape of your choice. I've actually interfaced this with iron-on interfacing to stabilise it. You also need a tape measure or a ruler, some matching machine thread, pins, a sewing machine of course, a ribbon that's at least 65 centimetres long, and a safety pin. Okay, so we're going to make a panelled drawstring bag, and I just wanted to show you the measurements for all the panels. So to do the two-tone, I'm actually using the same fabric for the tops and one piece for the centre, which will become the bottom piece here. Now, you can do this all in one piece if you'd rather, but I think it looks nicer as 2 different fabrics. So for the tops of our panel, which is fabric 1 on here, you're going to cut 2 pieces measuring 25 centimetres by 15 centimetres. For the main piece that goes all the way around the bottom, that's going to measure 25 centimetres by 30 centimetres, so it's double the length. The applique shape, you can choose how big or how small you'd like to applique it on. I'll let you make that decision. And your piece of ribbon, like I said before, has to be at least 65 centimetres long. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is join 2 panels together. So you're going to use your larger main piece and lay that right side up on your work surface. And then you're going to place one of your smaller panels on top. So this is my 15 centimetre panel, and I'm going to place it on top, right sides together, although I've chosen a check that's the same on both sides. And we're just going to pin all along this long edge here. Okay, so now that it's pinned, you're going to sew this edge here, which should be 25 centimetres long, with a 10mm seam allowance. I am going to use a straight stitch here, so you're just going to use a 10mm seam allowance all the way along with a straight stitch, and don't forget to do your back stitching at the beginning and the end. Okay, so now we have this edge joined here with the 10mm seam allowance. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So we're going to turn this round again to the other side of the panel, get our other small piece of fabric, and again line up the raw edges here, pin, and then we'll sew them with a 10mm seam allowance again. So once you've joined those seams, I've also just zigzagged the raw edges together as close as I possibly could over the raw edges, just to stop them fraying over time. So once you've done that on both panel pieces, you should have your 3 pieces joined together in a line like this. So now we are going to place our applique shape. So the first thing you need to do is mark where the drawstring is going to finish. So I've got my tape measure here, although it's a little bit broken at the end. I'm just going to measure 6 centimetres down from the raw edge of the shorter panel, and that's where my channel is going to finish. And all I'm going to do is a tiny little snip in the side just to mark it. You can mark it with a pencil or a water-soluble marker if you'd rather. Okay, so now that I've got my little markers, that's where I need to make sure that my applique shape doesn't go above, because that's where we're going to stitch our channel for our drawstring. So you're going to grab your applique shape, see where the marker is, and just make sure it's much further down than that. So I'm going to place my heart shape across that centre seam there, and I'm just going to pin this on. Okay, so once you have a few pins in your heart, we are going to zigzag around the very edge of this heart shape. or whatever shape you're using, as neatly as possible, because this is going to be seen from the front. Okay, so once you've finished appliquing your heart, it should, or whatever shape you're using, it should look something like this. If you want to know what stitch length I used for my zigzag, I used a 0.9mm stitch length with a 3mm wide zigzag. So that's what size satin stitch I used to go around my applique shape. Now, I did give this a good press. If you are young, make sure you get an adult to help you. I basically pressed my whole shape, and then on the inside I just made sure that all the seams were pressing down towards the main body of the fabric. Now, the next thing to do is our drawstring channel. So where we marked those little snips, I just used the iron again, so if you need an adult's help, do ask for them. And I've just rolled it down twice so that this folded edge meets the little notches we did in the side. So it's a rolled hem. So I've rolled it once and pressed, and then I've rolled it again and pressed. And that total length should be 6 centimeters. So now what we're going to do is just pin that rolled edge to our main fabric, and then we're going to use a straight stitch to stitch all the way along that channel as close to this little folded edge as possible. Okay, so once you've sewn your channels, they should look roughly like this. So you'll have your line really close to that folded edge. So just to go over that again, I folded it down by 2 centimeters and then down again by 2 centimeters. So on both ends now I have a channel. I have a channel this end and I have a channel this end. So now what we're going to do is fold it in half, right sides together, so that our channels meet at the top. And we are going to sew both sides down with a straight stitch, and then you're going to zigzag over the raw edges again. But you need to make sure that when you're sewing, you start sewing from the line of your channel stitching so that you leave these bits open, because we're going to put our ribbon through those bits. Okay, so now you should have a straight line along the edge and then a zigzag on the very edge. So our straight line is 10 millimeters from the edge, and our zigzag is just covering the raw edges to stop them from fraying as much. So if you wanted to, if you did struggle to line it up, you could do the side seams first and then roll your channel down after you've done these side seams. You just need to make sure that you don't sew the side seams above that 6 centimeter notch that we cut into the side. So it doesn't matter which way around you do it. But now we are going to turn this the right way, and we're going to insert our ribbon through the channel. Okay, so what you need to do now is get your safety pin, and we're just going to pin it to one end of our ribbon a few times so that it's nice and secure. And now we are going to thread this through our channel. So what you do is you put your safety pin through the first side of the channel and just push it along as much as you can. Now, there is a little trick to this. Imagine that you're holding the safety pin in one hand and you're sliding more fabric and holding it, sliding more fabric and holding it, sliding more fabric and holding it. Once you've got a few ruffles that you can feel you're holding onto the safety pin, then with your other hand you hold the end of the safety pin and then slide all that bulk fabric away, and you keep going like that all the way around. Once you come to an open end, you just push it back into the other side. Once you've got to the edge where you started, you can undo your safety pin and pop that safely to one side, And then we are just going to tie a knot in the ends of our ribbon so that they're tightly together, and pull really, really tight. And then we're just going to use our pair of scissors to trim the edges of the ribbon at an angle like that. And there you have your drawstring bag. So I really hope you enjoyed making this little panel bag. Make sure you tag me in any photos on Instagram or Facebook, because I would love to see what you've made, what colours you chose and what shapes you appliqued on the front. They just make such great gifts and they don't take very long to make. And of course, when you get more confident in your sewing, you can change the size of the panels that you're sewing with to make bigger or smaller bags. So I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Happy handmade, everyone!